What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Real Talk Recovery, where we talk about recovery from addiction and I share my life with you. My name's Nicole and I'm an addict, and my sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And tonight we're going to have a special guest on the channel. That's right, you read the title, Prison Break Raw's very own JD, Big JD, in fact. So while we're waiting for JD to come on over and join us on this live stream, I want you guys to all come on in, take a seat, welcome your neighbor, welcome the newcomer. Tonight's video is going to be really fucking epic. JD's got a story, y'all, and I think it's going to be a story that's going to help a lot of people. So, you know how I am. The more people that can share their experience, strength, and hope to give other addicts and alcoholics hope that they can recover, the better. So that's the point of these videos, is to inspire other people to make changes in their life, no matter what side of the tracks that they came from. So I'm excited. I'm excited. So as you can see, you guys, got my makeup all done up for y'all. Before this video, we did a little get ready with me, but I ended up deleting it. So I just want to say real quickly that I'm sorry to Ray, one of my subscribers. I snapped at her at the end of that video, and I just want you to know that I love you, girl, and I'm glad that we could get past it. Every now and then, you guys, I just get in my feelings about things, and so sometimes I can be a little sensitive, but I love you guys, and we're all adults, and we can like agree to disagree on things sometimes, you know what I mean? So, hey Danny, what's up? Hey Lakeisha, hey Donnie Darko, hey Samantha. Okay, let me tell you guys about my eyeshadow tonight. So tonight I used let me see if I have a light so I can really show y'all what's going on. I used the Jackie Aina palette from ABH. Oh, that's too bright. Can you see how it like sparkles and glistens? Oh, that blows me out too much. Anyways, it's really pretty. Much love to you too, Ray. I'm glad you texted me, girl. That's another thing, you guys. Like, all of you guys have my number, so like you can like get a hold of me if you guys ever want to talk about anything, or if you're ever struggling, you can always reach out to me and we can talk it out or whatever we need to do. So I'm so excited. Danny. What's up, Lance? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming over, man. We're going to have a good time tonight, you guys. I'm really, really excited. I really cannot wait to hear JD's like whole story. I've heard parts of it before, but I haven't heard all of it. Okay. And just so you know, JD is he's like getting his computer set up and everything, so just hang tight. We're only 3 minutes in. You know, with StreamYards, you guys, this is the easiest application that I've ever used. It's so foolproof. So last night when we did the interview with Amanda, I don't know if I told you guys, but you are allotted 20 hours of free time on StreamYards. Well, here on Real Talk Recovery, we go over 20 hours every month. Every month I use those 20 hours up. And so last month I used it and I was like, I'm trying to not go through it all so that way I can use it the free kind, right? Well, last night, I guess I went over it by like 2 hours, and I woke up this morning and I was looking in my emails and I was like, shit, you know, like tonight JD's coming on. I have to have that application so I can get him on the channel. Well, I had to go in and buy it and pay for the monthly subscription to it, because I wasn't about to like cancel a freaking interview because I didn't have the freaking free time, you know. But I'm telling you what, you guys, like, it's easy to go through those hours because, like, you know, I'll come on here, you guys, and I'll do like an hour and 30 minutes to a night. And so that hour and 30 minutes every single night, it adds up. So, but The whole thing on my channel is like I have to be consistent, because that's what it's about. It's like supporting each other, having you guys here. Y'all know you can come to Real Talk Recovery, and I'm going to be here, and we're going to be able to support each other. Also, if any of you guys that are on medically assisted treatment want to submit your story for the Mara book, you can email it to me, and I'll email it to Shelly and Jeff. Or if you want the direct website, it's www.marainternational.com. Attention, Shelly. So that way she can have your story. I think that's pretty much all the things I have to say. Also, this Wednesday, we've got Cindy Briggs coming on to share her experience, strength, and hope. Cindy's got 16 years sober, and so we have just become really close over the last year, and I'm really looking forward to having her on the channel. Hey, Captain. Hey, Brandon. Brandon, how is it going? How do you feel? Tell me. Tell me what's up. Tell me how you're feeling. Are you okay? Do you feel better? What's up, Misty? Hey, Mad Feathers. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Amanda. Is it, are you like stabilized? And tell me, I want to know, like, I want you to let me know what's going on, because I'm so proud of you. You guys, Brandon, you've been following me for what, like a year now? Brandon's been following me, I think, for about a year, and he had been struggling back and forth, right? Relapse, get sober, relapse, get sober. And so last time he was on, he had just came out and let everybody know that he had relapsed. And I was like, man, you know, do something different, you know. And listen, I'm all for trying to get sober through abstinence, right? I'm all for it. Like if you can do that, and you can get sober and stay sober without maintenance medication, do that. But if you're struggling and you're consistently relapsing, it's a death sentence. It is so dangerous, okay? Some of us need the extra help, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, society wants you to think that it's shameful to need extra help. Society wants you to feel like what you're doing is the wrong thing, and it's just not, you know. Hey, Ray, thanks, girl. You didn't have to do that. It's just judgment from others. I am really, really trying, and I'm not just saying this at all. I totally understand, man. And I think that getting on the medication is really going to give you a leg up, man. I'm just telling you. Now you're going to be able to like consistently not fiend and not think about using. So this is going to be good. Okay, y'all, JD's here. I see him.
Can you hear me?
What's up, man?
Can you hear me?
I hear you good.
All right. I know I look like Count Dracula right now. It's because of this damn light that I got.
Oh man, you're fine. You're fine.
Let's see what happens.
Everybody looks like Count Dracula compared to me because I'm brown.
Well, I'm brown in the heart where it counts.
So I'm really excited to have you on my channel, man. I'm like really, really stoked about it. Me and JD talked on the phone the other day, you guys, and he was really telling me a lot about his story, and he's got a really, really powerful testimony. And so, JD, I just want you to start from the beginning. I know you're not going to be able to tell it like the whole story, but just tell what you're comfortable sharing. And the way I would like you to do it is to share what it was like when you were growing up. Okay. Then what it was that kind of shifted you into using and drinking, and then what happened after you got out of prison, and what you're doing now to stay on the right track.
Okay. I would kind of like to, you know, keep the meat and potatoes of it out until I'm able to actually like release this video that I'm going to be dropping, because I kind of want to like bring it to my audience first. I want to give them the opportunity to see it first. What I can tell you this is that, you know, my life was a very emotional, very physically abusive situation to where when I had got into my later teen years that I actually believed that I was not even worth the air that I was breathing. That at some point in time, you know, that the first bullet that found my name, that had my name on it, would be a blessing just to take me out of this world. And I lived every single day of my life controlled by this impulse to want to die. Like I didn't fear death. I didn't believe that death was anything other than an extension of my soul going somewhere beyond. I didn't know exactly what that meant because I'm not really a believer in a heaven or a hell per se. I've never been a believer in that, and I still continue to believe in a presence of life outside of the physical plane that we live in, but I believe in it something much different than what religion explains it to be. But the main thing was is that I was on a stone cold mission of destruction that meant that anything and everything that I could use to further this destruction that was at my disposal, that I was willing to use it. Drugs, crime, gangs, violence, the street life, everything and anything that was at my disposal to destroy myself with, I was with it 100%. And
Okay, when you okay, so I hear what you're saying. Like growing up, you're miserable. Did you feel like whenever you were like once you started realizing how to like feel, did you feel like that since you were born, basically, like you just didn't fit? Like you kind of like the way I explain it is that when I was old enough to start feeling, I always felt like I wasn't a part of, like I was just not the way everybody else was. It was like this internal like void that I was always trying to fill. And even before I started using drugs, it was with things like food, sugar, attention, that kind of stuff.
you know, this may, I don't know how many atheist members of the audience you have, but I've always been connected to like an extra cosmic universe. I felt like I've always had like such a strange sixth sense of things that normal kids shouldn't even be experiencing. Like dreams of things that never really made sense to me. And I was one of those people that I used to have I don't know what the definition of it is, but I would be asleep. It's not like sleepwalking. It would almost be like I was asleep, but I was experiencing a whole nother like universe around me. And this happened several times in my childhood to where when I was a little kid and I was at my grandmother's house, I was actually like in a constant state of nightmares to where people were being butchered around me and stuff. And this was like 1979, 1980 when this was happening. So I was only about 6 years old. And I was seeing things that a normal 6-year-old should not have been seeing. Like we're talking people being butchered, all kinds of weird like goblins and demons and spirits and presences of things that I didn't really fully understand. And like I had like gotten loose and I was running through the house of my grandma's house and I had gotten outside and I was almost about ready to jump into the swimming pool. And it's weird because the swimming pool was like full of all kinds of like weird like dead people and there was like Dracula was in there doing a handstand in the bottom of the pool and I could only see his legs. And I don't know how I knew it was Dracula, but they had actually grabbed me right before I jumped into the pool and pulled me back. And these nightmares lasted all night long. All night long, these nightmares last. But the thing about these nightmares is that I would constantly experience these things throughout my youth, all the way up until I was about maybe 12 years old, and then it kind of like stopped. But I mean, I used to suck my thumb, and a lot of my family didn't understand why I sucked my thumb, but there was always like every time I would like wake up, there'd be creatures trying to like pry my mouth open and pour like this sand down into my throat. You know what I'm saying? and it used to scare the crap out of me. So I used to suck and bite on my thumb to where like I've got like scars on my
Oh,
thumb,
wow.
scars from doing this my entire life. And by the time I got to be about 12 or 13 years old, like a light went on in my head to where I just basically hated the entire world. Like I hated the government, I hated the establishment, I hated, schools and principals and teachers and all that. And I just became a straight rebel at that point. When I got to
Mhm.
tell you that one of my favorite movies of all time when I was 11 and 12 years old was a movie called The Warriors. And it was about a New York gang that basically had a green light put on them because they were framed of a murder
Uh-huh.
of like a huge gang leader named Cyrus. And they were running through the city of New York trying to get back to Coney Island. And that was like my favorite movie. And when I saw that, it inspired me to be a gang member and to where I would go out into the community and all my little compatriots, all my little friends and stuff like that. Like I would go out there and tell them, "You're going to join my gang," and I'd punch them and all that stuff like that, and force them to wear these colors and force them to like graffiti on the wall and all that stuff like that. And it got me into a lot of trouble, and it turned me into like the outcast of the neighborhood. And I used to carry this slingshot, and I used to shoot other kids with the slingshot. And I shot this kid in the face like really hard with it, and like broke his jaw, and all this stuff. And they were trying to understand why I was so aggressive, why I was so violent, what I was mad at, what I was angry at. And I never really
Yeah.
fully understood that. But as time went on, I started to become more and more aggressive with the world. And like I put out this negative energy towards anything and everything. And I got into the punk rock scene, I got into the skating scene, I got into the gangbanging scene. I started selling weed like as early as the sixth grade, the fifth grade. And
Mhm.
I just, anything that had to do with like criminal activity, I was all for it. And I
Right.
didn't understand fully what was going on. And there was like a huge empty void in my family. It was like I was the only boy. I had two sisters, and it seemed like all the attention was being focused on my sisters. Like all of the special treatment, everything was being given to them. My grandparents would give them more than me, because there was this belief system in my family that the male role had to be strong, independent, and had to find his own way. And
Right.
what that led me to be is to like resent anybody and everybody. And at some point in time, I just basically put up my middle finger and told my whole family to F you, that
Mhm.
I'm gonna do it my own way. And like I said, I had ran away from home several times, and I had been put into a situation where it meant life or death. And I will talk more about that in the video that I'll release, and I'll come back on and answer any questions of your audience if they see it. Um, like I said, I want
Yes.
to release that to my audience first. But this particular time period in my life was a great challenge to understand what my identity was, what my mission in life was, what I was going to become. And
Mhm.
this is like after all that, I was like completely drained, and I felt completely dead on the inside. And I just fully like embraced a lifelong addiction for suffering, destruction on me and everyone else around me. And this carried on all the way into my late 30s until I went into the federal prison. Now, mind you, I had spent several years going in and out of the California Department of Corrections since 1993 all the
Uh-huh.
way until 2007. And then I had
Wow.
gotten out, lost my father while I was in prison, lost, the love of my life, who was pregnant with my child, who had my stepdaughter with her, were all killed in a car accident in 96. And it just felt like that nothing that had to do with this world was good. Nothing at
Yeah.
all. And I just continued to get further and further, like kind of like disconnected from everything and everybody. And by the time I got into my late 30s and I robbed this bank that I got caught up in Oklahoma, I was driving away from the bank robbery and I pulled into a field and I just screamed at the top of my lungs to where I almost I felt like blood vessels were bursting in my neck and in my eyes. That's how loud I was screaming. And I had drove back to the city of Amarillo and I got caught up in all kinds of shit. Like I was taking a whole bunch of pills. I was shooting a bunch of heroin and meth. Like I was literally shooting about like 50 to 60 units of meth with heroin every time, just straight going all the way down. And I wasn't really a drug addict. Like I didn't live to get high. It was kind of like I was trying to commit suicide subconsciously. Although I didn't ever call it suicide. But I was trying to accomplish that. And I finally got surrounded by the FBI. And I got taken into federal custody. And I told the FBI that all these horrible things happened in my life. And, you know, this is why I'm where I'm at today. And I really need help at this point because I don't really think that I could survive with whatever is going on in my head. I almost feel like I'm possessed by a demon, you know, and I got caught up in the typical, you know, mythological religious belief systems of demons and angels and all that stuff. And I honestly did believe that I was possessed by some demonic force all this time. And when I got into the federal prison system and I was in Grady County, Oklahoma, I was in the cell all by myself. It was at the end. It was under the stairs. Ironically, dungeon-like cell underneath the stairs that went up to the units that were upstairs. And I haven't eaten in like 7 days. I haven't really slept. When you're trying to kick heroin and methamphetamine at the same time, it's like methamphetamine, you want to sleep. Heroin, you cannot sleep. Can you imagine the torture that I was going through? Because I was.
Oh, I can imagine it. I've totally been there.
Yeah, so much. I was slamming so much dope just to try to and I'm like, you know, I would go out and I would wake up with throw up all over myself and stuff like that, just wipe my mouth. And I'm like, God damn, I'm still alive. I can't believe I'm still alive. Like playing Russian roulette with people and just like going on a sick one into situations where people do drive-by shootings on me and I'll be chasing them down the street, just emptying the clip on them, bullets just flying past me. And all of these things, it's just like, people are like, what is the matter with you, man? Are you insane? And I'm like, yes, I think that I am insane. And getting in this cell in Grady County, something came over me. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was coming down off meth and heroin. I'm kicking. All these things are going on. And I just started writing all of these things, all these weird scriptures and these symbols and everything all over the wall of this cell, to where the county sheriffs came in, took pictures of it, sent it to my lawyer, and they took me for a psych evaluation. And they said that I was suffering from PTSD and all these other things, right? And I finally, I just started to, once, you know, the drugs were gone and I started eating and I started sleeping, I started studying the word. I started getting into the Kabbalah. And I started getting into ceremonial magic and a lot of these different mystical teachings of Sufism and stuff, yoga, meditation, different mantras and all this hatha yoga, Kabbalah and different things. And I started to put that into practice. And I was able to discover what was going on inside of me. And it was almost like I had found an island that was undiscovered by any navigator in the world. And I found this island and my whole entire life was on it. And it was like a huge revelation that had basically said that at some point in time in my young childhood, that there was so many bad things that were happening to me from when I was a little kid, suffering like a head injury that I never knew that I had. I got hung from a tree upside down when I was 7 years old, where somebody took a life-size, a mirror that you get at Walmart, a beauty mirror, they call it. where they
Uh-huh.
positioned it just right to reflect the sun onto my body, to where it was like burning holes into me and stuff. Like some kids did this to me, and I totally had forgot about it. To where other kids were like, and other kids had thrown me into the swimming pool with bricks tied to my feet to see if I would sink and stuff. These were the kind of bullies that were in my neighborhood.
Mhm.
You know, and it always seemed like to me that nobody ever believed me or nobody ever took me serious. And at some point in time, I just shut all that up and blocked it all out and basically blamed the entire world for not wanting to hear the cries for help from a child that people should have taken serious, people should have listened to.
Right.
And I took that as being that it is me against the world. The whole world is my enemy, and I am the enemy of the entire world. And when I discovered this, I was able to basically come to peace with myself and say that I am not at war with myself, but I am at war with the forces of destruction that mean to destroy me. And all I need to
Mhm.
do is love myself and embrace this inner light that all of us have, and it'll move me through the darkness. And I did this, and it was a huge game changer for me. And for the first time in my life, all these labels of manic depressant, PTSD, um, and antisocial disorder, ADHD, all that stuff was just textbook jargon that didn't totally define who I was. I was now free to define who I was. And that's
Right.
what I did. And that's what really had changed me from the gang member, the drug dealer, the bank robbing, shooting, people smuggling, jacking, robbing, stealing, wheeling and dealing type of a person that I was, to a man that was on a mission to completely redefine and take control of his own life through hard work, dedication, and love of the self, and knowing thyself through yoga, through Kabbalah, through meditation, and through all the things that I put into practice had developed me into the person I am today.
And you were able to tap into that while you were locked up?
Yes.
See, I mean, that's why I think is you're so unique, because I know a lot of people that they just don't have it in them to dig. If they do have it in them, but they don't know. They are so broken that it's like they can't even. They need somebody to encourage them to dig deep like that. And so the fact that you were able to do that on your own, and then like emerge out on the other side of things, is it's phenomenal. And I think that when people are able to hear the whole story on your channel, it's going to make so much more sense to everybody, because it just is going to make so much more sense to everybody going through, like just what you explained when you were younger, being hung upside down from a tree. Like that is crazy. Like that should never have to happen to a young child. Like children are supposed to be protected, and I think about those kind of things all the time when I think about my little boy and how I have to protect him, because there's just so many sick people out there in this world. I'm just so grateful that you were able to do what you did to come out on the other side of things. You know what I mean? Like, I would like, can you share with everybody kind of like what you do now, like in your community and stuff like that? Because it's a miracle.
Yeah. So I spent, like I said, I dropped out of high school in the ninth grade. You know, I basically said I was done with school and I went full fledged into, you know, just destruction. Um, I've been in and out of prison since 1993, and I didn't stop going in and out. Basically, you could say that I was a lifer on what's called the installment plan,
Turn that
right?
on, Nate. Mm-hmm.
And I went in and out of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, commonly referred to the California Department of Corruptions and Rehumiliations, is what I like to call them. Um, and it led
Corruptions and
all the way,
rehumiliations.
yeah, all the way until 2007. I got out, and basically I never went back on a new beef to the California Department of Corruptions. I basically just I kept going on the run. My father had died. My mom moved to Texas, and I kept just absconding to Texas. They would find me, extradite me back, let me out. I would go right back. They'd find me, bring me back. And all of this money flying me back and forth from Texas to California was, I mean, I can imagine what the taxpayers was paying for this.
Right.
You know, and just to let me out. There was even one time, it was in 2009, I was a full-time student in college. It was like one of the only times that I actually ever tried to change.
Mm-hmm.
Full-time student in college studying renewable energy. And we were coming back from a renewable energy event, me and one guy and his girlfriend, and we got pulled over by the state trooper. And he ran my name and found out I was wanted in California. They extradited me back only to just drop me on the streets and tell me, you can't go back to Texas. I'm like, I'm in college. I'm doing all these things. And they're like, well, too bad. You know, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do while I'm here? And my probation officer's like, or parole officer is like, well, they're the McDonald's on the corner is hiring. Why don't you go give them a shot? And I'm just like, I'm going on a sick one. And I just kept going on sick ones over and over and over again until I just maxed out my parole. 2012, I was actually free to leave the state of California finally, once and for all.
Mm-hmm.
But I was already too late. Like, I was too far gone. I was too far in this destruction. I was, you know, had a complete nervous breakdown and complete breakdown and everything. I woke up and realized that I was 38 years old, living in a cheap motel next to a strip club, and I worked at a car wash. And I was just like, you know what? I'm done. You know, the one shot, and I couldn't go back to college because they said, well, you were failed and you were considered a drop because you just left. So now you have to pay us all this money back for these loans and everything, and then we'll let you back in. Well, I didn't have the money to pay all that back. And it wasn't my fault. And I explained to them that they extradited me. They said, well, you know, sorry about your luck, dude. You know, maybe you can get a job at the Whataburger and pay it back. Because out there it's Whataburger, you know. But
yeah,
you know, I was a lifelong criminal, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pistol whip people, I'm gonna rob, I'm gonna steal, I'm gonna sell dope, I'm gonna run, escorts from one spot to the next. I'm gonna smuggle people across borders. I'm gonna do all these things that are destructive, and I don't care anymore. And I didn't really want to die, but I didn't want to kill myself, but I wanted to kill myself, if that makes sense. And
yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, it's just like, you know, it had never dawned on me before, this new like spiritual connection that I had. It's not like religious, because here's the problem with a lot of people. This is why a lot of people fail. Most people go to religion and they run to, like, a lot of people run to like NAAA, all these things. They're looking for something outside of their selves to explain what's going on within them. That's their first mistake. Because if you're looking for something outside of you to explain something that you have the answer to, then you're already on the path to failure. You have to find what's going on inside of you first and foremost before you can address the world. And how I did it differently this time is I went through cognitive behavioral therapy. And I studied cognitive because it was so fascinating to me. Boring as hell, but it was fascinating.
I've been through a lot of CBT, like treatment centers and stuff. A lot.
You know,
it works though. For me, it helped me out a lot because it helped me to change my thinking, and it helped me to change because of changing my thinking, I was able to change my behaviors, you know?
Yeah, and like me, you know, I go to an AA meeting, and this one guy's trying to tell me that you're weak, you're powerless. And I told him, no, I'm not. I'm not weak. I'm not powerless. You got me twisted with somebody else. Oh, no, you're just in denial, and you're looking for an easier, softer way. And they used all these talking points that they use. You know, you got to be sick and tired.
I know all the talking points.
Yeah. and basically what I had said is, let's just agree to disagree. You go your path, I'll go mine. That dude was back into the drugs and drinking within a short amount of time. He had actually released, and he came back all sucked up and shot out, teeth missing. And I'm like, dude, what happened, man? Did you look for an easier, softer way? And is that why you're here now? And he's kind of like, that's not funny. And I'm just like, well, look it. You know, maybe now you can find that piece that's been missing inside of you. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're trying to find it outside of you and you can't. It's in you. It's inside of you. So here's the thing. Like if people say, well, then you're bashing AA. No, I'm not. So here it is. You have to find yourself first. You have to understand your cognitions. You have to understand your coping mechanism, your triggers. You have to know what your strategy is, what your goal is, how you deal with these high risk situations. You know, how you avoid painting yourself in a corner. What pain are you in? Are you in your blind pain, your potential pain? You know, what is your rational thinking? How do you rationally challenge your irrational thoughts? Guess what? Once this has all been revealed to you and the light has been, a light bulb goes on, AA becomes, you're able to maximize the benefit from AA and NA at that point, because now you are ready to take yourself to that step.
I agree. I agree. I think for me, those kind of programs, AA, NA, any kind of like 12-step fellowship or any kind of recovery program, it's just a something. It actually just helps me to like have a fellowship with other people who
Right.
have been through what I've been through. That is what I really take out from it, is the being able to relate with other alcoholics and addicts that understand what I'm going through. You know what I mean? I never walked
Absolutely.
in there and I expected them to like save me or like give me the magic cure. Now, when I first started, I did think like, okay, they tell me if I go to meetings, if I pray, if I meditate, and I, find a higher power and all this, that I'm going to overcome my addiction, right? And I really believed that. But what I've learned now, just like you're saying, is that a lot of it is just within me, and a lot of it is just changing the way I perceive things. Because when I was in my active addiction, I looked at everything from, well, a sick mind. I looked at things from my addict way of seeing things. Like, when I would walk into a house, now I go in, I say hi to everybody, and my first reaction is, "Oh, your home is beautiful." But when I was in my active addiction and I walked in somebody's house, I'm thinking, my thinking was sick. So I think that through going like to AA and then doing like treatment and then doing therapy is what really helped me change. Then that's how I was able to like change my thinking and then to be able to dig deep inside of me to actually keep changing.
Yeah.
But I don't get obsessed. Like, here's the thing. I do see a lot of people who get into programs and then they take the program out of context and they put the program on such a pedestal. Like, this program is supposed to be the program of all programs, and it can be any program. Any program can help you change your life because it's you that is making the changes. It's you.
Exactly. And it's like I had this sponsor one time, and he told me that when you go to meetings, I want you to introduce yourself as, when you stand up, you say, "Hi, my name is Scumbag, and I'm an addict, and and you know what I mean?" And
Yeah.
and this was one approach. And he also told me one time, because I made a comment about somebody he used to know. He said, "You know what? You have no respect for the single woman that's struggling with a bunch of kids." He said, "So you're looking for a new roommate, right?" He goes, "I got the perfect person for you." So he brings this woman that was like in recovery, who was pregnant like 7 months, had 2 kids already, and he moved them into my apartment. He says, "There you go. There's your roommate." And it was like the biggest mistake that was ever imposed upon me, you know?
Why?
And
What happened?
well, because, once she popped the baby out, she was back to smoking crack, because her thing was crack. And then like these kids were dirty as hell. They were eating all my food. They were stealing my stuff. They were breaking into my room and stealing stuff and everything, or I had to put a deadbolt on my lock. And to where she basically went around the side of the apartment and busted the window out and climbed into the window and stole. And all these things. And I went to his house to try to say, "Look, dude," and he was in there shooting heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, I looked at him like, "Man, you are just a straight low life." And I was done with it at that point. But I've read the entire big book, and I've read the big book of NA, and there's a lot of wisdom in these books, and I use them to basically supplement the things that I'm doing. Like sometimes I'll go back to the big book and I'll read some things and I'm like, yeah, that makes more sense now than it's ever made sense before. Because I'm
I
very
agree.
well involved in what's called the 3-person triangle of me. You know, my physical form, my spiritual form, and my soul, you know, what's connected to my heart. And I understand this triune, or this, you know, this trinity of myself. And now everything else that comes in the form of worldly knowledge, I like to call it, I
Mm-hmm.
basically just adapt the things that make sense to me and I apply them to my own like library of growth.
Mm-hmm.
And it can come in any form, in any shape, in any way. I could go to a Muslim mosque and pray with the Muslims in Juma. I can observe the Sabbath, and at the same time, I can go to a Christian service on Sunday, and people are like, "You must be confused." No, it's you that is confused. Me, I'm grounded in reality of life, and I feel comfortable in anything that is positive, in any of the fruits of the earth. I could go and I can eat oranges, apples, peaches, and pears while you only eat bananas, you know?
I
And
know
they're
what
like,
you mean. I know what
yeah,
you mean.
yeah,
I totally understand. I was raised up like really religious. My mom raised us up Pentecostal. Like we couldn't cut our hair, we couldn't wear makeup, we couldn't wear earrings, we had to wear long dresses. And so once I got old enough to choose my own way, I chose no way. And so now the way I believe is just that I believe that there is a power that's out there that's greater than me. I don't know what God is. I don't even know if he's a person. It could be the universe. It could be nature. It could, I don't know. I just know that I feel like there's something out there that's pulling me in the right direction and helping me guide me on my path. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
And I feel like that's just like the way they used to explain it to me back in the day when I first started out was like, if you don't believe in God, do you believe in good, orderly direction? And so, like God, good, orderly direction, like something's just guiding me. And so now I just try to tap in to that good, orderly direction every morning when I wake up because I'm still an addict. I still have thoughts and where I think, oh wow, I wish I could let loose today or take a break from life. But then I really have to start thinking and I play that tape all the way through and I'm like, you know what? What will happen if I let loose? What will happen if I check out of life? It's not going to be a good thing. I'm going to lose everything, and I don't want to lose everything that I worked so hard for. I feel like you and me are kind of in the same place mentally. Like we've seen how far we've come from the past and we're not willing to just throw everything away now.
Yeah, the cost is too high. And there's nothing like I'm surrounded by crooks and dope fiends where I live. I see them all day, every day. As a matter of fact, like just this morning, I'm trying to get some sleep because I got to go to an ACLU event, like a rally to support Assembly Bill 805 in Oklahoma. It's a criminal justice reform bill, and I
Mhm.
posted it on my community feed if you haven't seen it. But
I saw it on your Instagram.
yeah, yeah. So it's like I was there and literally I'm listening to this guy screaming, F, F, I don't know if we can really swear on this channel, so I'm just gonna say F, you know what I'm saying, yelling, you dirty B and all this stuff like that. I'll kill you and I'll kill him and all that. And it's like this guy standing on my porch yelling at somebody, and they're two homeless drug addicts that live in the bushes across the street, you know. And I see him all day walking around itching and scratching and digging in the dumpster and begging for change. And then they're high as a kite. And
Yeah.
I tell him all the time, it's like, there's this guy sleeping in the laundry room. He goes, it's cold out there. I said, yeah, why don't you go to the rescue mission? He's like, yeah, well, I can't. I'm like, why not? I'll drive you there right now. He's like, I can't go there because I won't pass the drug test. And I said, well, you need to get out of this laundry room.
That's
I'm
what
not
it is. A
gonna
lot
I'm
of
not gonna
people
enable
won't take
you.
the help because they don't want to stop using, and that's you have to get to the point where you're willing to do you're willing to stop using to get the help. Like you would rather sleep in the freezing cold then just stop getting high so that way you can have assistance to get better. I'm telling you, man, God, I see it every day. And it's so sad to me because addiction is, I know because I've done it. I've done these horrible things. I know how far down my addiction took me, but once you get out of that and you're looking back, it's like sometimes I just want to shake people to wake them up. Like, you can do this. Just stop. You can do this.
Yeah. It's like I said, this guy's like, put all freeze out there. And I'm like, sorry, dude. I mean, stop getting high. Simple as that, man. It's simple. Just stop getting high. I mean, there's
it is really simple. It's simple. It's like that's all you have to do. But what do they say? It's like it's so easy, but it's so hard at the same time because of that obsession. The obsession to get high is so great. I mean, the obsession to get high was so great upon me that I did that while I was pregnant with my son, and I lost my son because of it. And so I talk about that, on my channel, and that's probably one of the things that I'm the most ashamed about that I did. But that's the only way I can explain how great addiction, how strong addiction is, because it will make a mother, do things that she would never do in her right mind.
Yeah. I mean, I've come to accept it as being an impulse, instead of being more like, to me, instead of being more of an obsession, it's I started to see it as being an impulse to destroy, and nothing else matters. We don't think about all these things in that moment. We don't think about the child. We don't think about our parents. Like, literally, like, just to give you an example of how I looked at it later on, is like I was stabbing a dagger into my mother's heart every time I was doing this to myself. Literally, like I was killing my mother every single day. And I didn't even realize to what degree I was destroying this woman. And I didn't
think
care.
it's just us.
Yeah.
We think it's just us that we're doing it to. I mean, I would always say, this is what I would say, and I remember saying it, like, I'm not hurting anyone else. And this is before I got pregnant or anything. I couldn't say that afterward, but before I got pregnant, before I had my son, I'm not bothering anybody else. I'm not hurting anybody else. This is my life. I'm just doing what I want, just doing me. And it was like, no, Nicole, my mom will sit down and tell you like how many sleepless nights she had, and she would pray. That's what she'd always say. I would pray and I would pray that you were going to come home and you were going to be okay. And my parents were such good parents. So for me to put them through that, like, I think about it all the time, and I'm constantly like, I want to constantly work harder to make it up to them, like, because I'm so grateful to have a supportive, loving family that forgives me and wants me in their lives. You know what I mean? Because I know a lot of people don't have that, and they don't have support from their families. Put that down right now. Listen to me. Come here. I love you so much, son. Go upstairs and get your dad right now. Go up there now. Sorry about that, y'all.
No, you're all right.
He's decided to sneak downstairs, and he is right now over here in the refrigerator with a gallon of milk, trying to pour it on his own.
I can do that.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. I did it before.
Okay, go get Daddy, please. Anyway, I'm so glad that you came on the channel. I love you so much, man. Like, I cannot wait for you to share the story with everybody that we talked about on the phone. So I feel like this is like a good cliffhanger. Like, everybody out from my channel needs to go over to JD's channel. If you haven't already, I'm sure you're all already subscribed. Go subscribe to his channel, and then we have to hear I want you to tell the story on your channel so that way everybody will know like what we're talking about, because I know what you're talking about. I know the pain that you experienced, but I feel like your story is going to help so many people not be ashamed and not be afraid,
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately it requires a great deal of self-empowerment, and on this last term, my mother never gave up on me. And I have a letter somewhere, and I would have to dig it out. I have it in a folder in one of my files. But my mother wrote a letter, an impact letter, to this program that I was doing called Doing Time with the Right Mind. And the letter said that, I can't begin to tell you how much pain that this kid has put me through. That every night when I'd hear the phone ring, every time I'd hear a knock at the door, I believe it would be the police telling me that they shot him or that somebody else killed him.
Yeah.
Because she knew the way that I was living. And she even told me one time, she said that there was a time where your father actually told me, Linda, you need to prepare yourself for the day that we get that phone call that Jason's dead, because I've already prepared myself for it.
Yeah.
And she said, I'll never prepare for that day. I'll never accept that. And he said, well, I've already accepted it because I know that I'm going to outlive him. And he didn't. I ended up outliving him. But my mother had developed stage 4 cancer when I was on my federal beat. And I had to sit there and listen to this woman slowly die through the phone month after month after month, leading up to the end of her life. And there were even times where I would call her and she would be like, who's this? I'm like, it's me, it's Jason. And she's like, I don't know who you are. Why do you keep calling me? You would hang up. And then I called my brother-in-law and I'm like, what the hell's the matter with Mom? He goes, you know what? I'm going to have to go to the hospital and explain it better once I'm there. And he was there saying, it's your son. And she's like, who? It's your son, Jason. And she's like, Jason's in the Navy. And he's like, no, he's in prison. And she's like, oh yeah, he is in prison. Oh, I'm sorry. And then he finally snapped out of it and told me that, I'm sorry, but the cancer has excelled to my brain. And sometimes I am losing control of my thoughts. And she basically said that, she goes, look, I want to tell you that, I love you and I'm proud of you. And I've had dreams about you doing great things. She said, but I want you to promise me one thing. I want you to promise that you will publish our book. And I want you to also promise that you'll become a criminal justice activist. She said, you need to get out our story and share it with the world. She said, you also need to teach these men and women to stop breaking their mother's hearts like you broke my heart for so many years. And that really blew my mind. And I told her, well, Mom, if I'm gonna publish our book, you have to write the last poem because you have the last word. And she says, I will. And she wrote the last poem, and then she died 3 weeks later. And I got out, and I was literally dumped in the streets of Oklahoma. I had nowhere to go. My sisters weren't able to take care of me. Family on the West Coast, where I came from in California, didn't want me. Nobody else wanted me anywhere, and I had to go to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I've never lived here. I've never visited here. My only time I've ever been in the state is to get off the freeway, rob a bank, and then get right back on the freeway again. So they dropped me in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. $38, the shirt on my back, thongs on my feet, not knowing what the hell I was going to do or where I was going to go. I kept all of this in my head, is that this is only a temporary existence, that I am going to beat this, that I am going to succeed. Because everybody else around me, and we're talking people that had family support, that one guy that had some woman with no self-esteem that he met off Plenty of Fish, and he was sucking her dry of all her money, starving her kids so he could wear Levi's and order pizzas and wear a Gucci watch and all these nice clothes. All of these people were dropping like flies, getting busted for Suboxone, smoking spice, drinking, and going back to prison. I had none of those things. On the family day of Saturday, they'd be out there barbecuing with their kids and everything, and I was just sitting inside waiting for the bologna sandwich to come at lunch. And I had gotten a job as a dishwasher. I saved my money, and I got myself out of that halfway house, and I put myself into my own apartment. The halfway house said they have never seen that happen before, ever. And they wanted to know how I did it. I said, it's simple. You just do it. It's that simple. There's no excuses. There's no red carpet. There's no privilege because of, what color I am or anything like that. None of those things existed. The only thing that was relevant and that was true was that I had to do the work and I had to sacrifice and I had to make my way through it because nobody was going to do it for me.
Right.
Fast
Absolutely.
forward 3 years later, I live in a 3-bedroom house. I have a career. I have a car. I have a savings. I have a credit score of like over 760 something,
I know
and
that feels good.
it does. And I am also like right now I'm looking to buy a home through a mortgage and everything else that I'm in the process of getting. And to this very day, every now and then I see some people that I was in the halfway house digging around in the dumpster, living in the park, at the 7-Eleven, like, oh, all dirty and sucked up, like, damn, man, you made it. Man, I'm really screwing up bad right now. Yeah, I can tell. What happened, man? What happened to that woman you met off Plenty of Fish that you were starving her kids to death just to wear your nice clothes? Oh, she left me. She left me because, like I started messing with her sister or something, stuff like that.
Oh, God. Man, Plenty of Fish is no joke. I used to be on that site, and I met nothing but the most craziest people in my whole entire life.
And it's funny because there was a woman on my Facebook who was venting on a criminal justice reform group page, talking about, is there any way I can get my tax return faster than they're giving it to me? Because my man, he's a king and he's hurting right now. He's in prison. This dude is literally like, you need to hurry up and get that tax return because I need top ramen.
Oh my God. See, that I don't never. I have been caught up one time where I dated a guy and I did everything for him while he was locked up. Because I am the kind of girl that, like, if my man gets locked up, I'm going to do anything I can to help him. But that was the one time and the only time that I ever did that. And now I've learned, like, my husband works his ass off. He works 70 hours a week to take care of our family, and he's stepped up to the plate and really just taken the lead role of the family. But I feel for people who get caught in relationships like that, and they're just a slave to the person that's, like, if you're in jail, sit there and be happy that I come and visit you and that I put a little money on your books, because I'm out here in the real world trying to take care of my kids and this, that, and the third. Like, that's just ridiculous, man. It's just not right. It pisses me off. I see a lot of girls that get caught up in that.
Yeah. And you know what? The new title and stuff they talk about is like, my king. My king is struggling right, this and this and that. And one time I got so sick of it because, I'm an arrogant, sarcastic dude on my show. One time I made a comment. I'm like, you're married to a king? Really? From what kingdom is he ruling over?
And the throne in the toilet in the jail cell.
She's just like, I don't understand what you're saying. He's my king. And I'm like, yeah, well, actually he's a peasant, And you need to basically understand that in order for him to really become a king, he needs to get out and be a responsible man. He needs to get a job. He needs to support his children. He needs to support his wife. He needs to basically meet you halfway. I don't believe in the patriarch stuff where he's the head of the house and he's the king of the house. I don't believe in all that crap.
It's 50-50.
A man and a woman is a 50-50 thing.
Yeah.
Totally.
I absolutely agree.
Right now, he is like not on any level of the king whatsoever. And a lot of these things that go on, Nicole, is how I basically became the bad guy as far as the YouTube channel is concerned. Because I see like all the nasty comments that people make, all the trolling. I see how people treat everybody in society, the bullying, all these things that go on. And I'm like, somebody needs to be the asshole that basically gives you the other side of everything in order to basically toughen up people's skin and to also like break down other people's false self-righteousness
Mm-hmm.
in a way that's like that exposes that a lot of people that are bullies, a lot of people that are self-righteous, that are trolls, that do all these things are actually got very low self-esteem.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's why 90. I think I've had a couple of people who trolled me real hard on the internet, real hard, to where they made videos about me, made videos. But when I first started my channel, like I didn't realize that YouTube was such a bad place, and so I would walk around my house and my little boy would pop on, and I would let him say hi to my viewers, not thinking anything about it. And some people started trolling me and like taking videos of my child, and that's, you just don't, like, it was so over the line. I could not even believe it. I could not believe it. And it got so bad to where, like, I was like, I'm going to have to I'm going to have to go and press charges against these people to leave. I don't care if you talk about me, but don't ever put my kid on your channel and use his picture or anything like that. That's psychotic. Why would you do that? What is the point? It's because you have no life. So this is what these people do. They sit down and they watch you 24/7, and then anything they can take, they will take and magnify it times a million to try and hurt or harm you because their lives suck.
they a lot of them have a syndrome called it's called tinnitus penitus, right? And it's a syndrome that affects various different men that like have no lives, and when they go pee pee, they look down and they only see a belly, they don't see their feet, they don't see anything else. They've got nobody that really loves them or cares about them, so their negativity and their hatred like reflects in a way to where they try to attack other people to make themselves feel good. You also have the people that pump themselves up like they're all great and they're all powerful and they're all badass and all this and this and this and that. And those people are the worst kinds of having no self-esteem that I've ever encountered in my life. And most people can't see it because they see a guy smiling. They see him, he looks all successful in a nice car. He might be in good shape. He might, have this going on and that going on. But in reality, we only know what the optic is that we're giving, the optical illusion, the camera. You got this famous troll that's out there right now, this some guy who's in LA, and he's always taking pictures in a penthouse and stuff like that. But what you really probably don't know is that guy is the groundskeeper in this hotel, and he has access to all these rooms, and he's making them look like those are his place. You never
Oh,
know.
you know what? That's what I was just talking about earlier. I was telling everybody that a lot of these people on YouTube, they only show you what they want you to see. And so
Exactly.
it's very important for us to kind of like try to look past what each person is showing us, because if you could kind of read between the lines, that's why it's so important to me. Like on here, I just try to this is me, you know what I mean? This is my house that I live in. My kid just came over here. My husband is upstairs. Like, and this is just, I don't try to like, I don't have an amazing like mansion or anything like that. I don't have a Jaguar or Porsche out in my yard. Like, I work really hard for my little Mazda 3 that I drive,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm proud of that shit. I'm proud of that shit. And I don't
Yeah.
know. I just feel like it's a lot more it's a lot more genuine when you can just be who you are, and you don't have to like show off or act like you're something that you're not. If you can just be authentic and show the side of you that, hey, yeah, I struggle. I have a hard time sometimes. I'm not perfect. I really enjoy content creators like that, like us, that are a little just down to earth and genuine, a lot more than I have people that are trying to sell some kind of like dream, something that's, a lot of people won't ever be able to obtain that.
Yeah, like me, I've always said in the beginning that I am on a mission to teach people how to become free thinkers, to how to like maximize their success by finding the strength within themselves to grow. You know, and to understand that the entire world is a learning experience for you, but don't go creating your statue to ball, you know, or to build your golden calf out of somebody else's success, because you're going
Right.
to only find failure in that method. The best thing for you to do is to understand that the world is your school, and the world is a projection of everything that's out there, is basically things that are all inside of you, you know. And the best way to deal with everything and everyone is to be like non-apologetic. It's not about stepping on people's feelings and emotions, but it's about understanding that you come first, you know. And it's all about like seizing control of yourself, your feelings, your emotions first before you can address anybody else's. And it's also about, you know, taking action for yourself, and like, you know, doing the work yourself, and trying to look for some, you know, get rich quick scheme, or you know, fast results diet or anything like that. The things that you set short-term goals towards to achieve will gain you a more of a payout in the long run than trying to look for immediate gratification. You know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying. That's what I mean. That's what I've done all my life is look for immediate gratification. That's what I did because I getting high. But now what I've learned is that when I have to work for something like my house that I have now, my car that I drive, my channel that I'm building from the ground up, you know, and it's taking me time to get to where I'm going. And when I have to work for things like that, and I appreciate it so much more. You know, it means something to me. It's important to me. Um, I think it's because of the way I was raised up too. Like I wasn't my mom and dad were very adamant like work, 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 never not work. Save your money. Make sure your credit score stays good. Like when you told me your credit score the other day, that's so important. People don't understand like credit is everything. So if you're growing up and you're out there and you're spending credit cards and you're doing this that, it's going to fuck you over. Like it's so important to like work really hard and establish yourself in that way, because be able to do things like look for a house and like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till my credit score is repaired and I can go look for my own home. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
such a huge accomplishment. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean,
I
it's
look up to people who are buying their own houses. You know, I want to be able to do that. I'm not too far away from that, but I still got a little way to go.
you'll get there. I mean, if you've already got that
Yeah.
goal in mind, it's, you know, I like to look at it as like, I call it magic. And I know a lot of people think abracadabra, pull a rabbit out of my hat, but that's not the kind of magic I'm talking about. I'm talking about basically, you know, bringing things into your creation through a magnetism of things, like drawing success to you, like drawing in these things, you know, like you're basically, you're the magnet and you're drawing in, everything else is metal, you know, and you're drawing it to you. And it's as simple as creating a vision board or a vision in your head, and create a visualization that says that this is going to happen for me, so mote it be, and it becomes. You know, it's very easy to be in this. And when you look for things outside of yourself to achieve these things, you will never find them. You have to find them within yourself first, you know. And you can't really put a lot of stock in other people or depend on other people to get you there. Ultimately, you have to be self-powerful. I don't mean to sound like Tony Robbins, but it's the truth, you know.
Well, I know what you're saying because uh, expectations, that's what happens with us, okay? We set expectations on others and that's when it fails. So what we have to instead of setting expectations on others like, oh wow, this person, you know, they're so amazing. I'm going to learn this, that, and the third through them. Instead of setting that expectation towards them, we need to put those goals and those expectations on ourselves, because that's when you are able to produce, is through you. When you're putting somebody else on a pedestal, what happens is that person always falls, because it's just the way it is, you know? That's why we have, like you said, we have to find it within us, and that's how you're going to succeed, is through finding the power in you, attracting people that are also doing the same thing you're doing. So if I want to succeed in life, I'm going to surround myself with other people who are successful, other people who are on the same journey as me, because those people are going to push me in the right direction. We're all going to push each other and empower each other.
Yeah, and another one that I do on my channel is I try to help people to steer clear away from people that aren't really on the up and up. Role models, fake role models, I call them. You know, and I do this not because I'm really concerned about what they're doing or anything like that. I'm more concerned with the negative effect that it could possibly have on somebody like yourself. If you invest a lot of stock, energy, money, and time into this, and come to find out that they're not exactly what they say they are, it becomes a shock. And then what it does is it puts you back into a box to where you may never come out of that box again because of what this one person had done. You know, in Scientology, they call it engrams, you know, painful events through like, being knocked, unconscious or whatnot. But it could also be a shock.
Right.
Like when you find out that your husband or your wife is cheating on you, and that feeling that you get inside of you, it's the same thing when you find out that something like your hero or something that you've been striving to imitate and whatnot, like a mentor, turns out to be not really real. Like I told you with my sponsor, I come to only find him slamming heroin. And the whole time I was following his instructions to a T, and it was only lead me further into destruction, because I'm looking for this person to be my shepherd, when ultimately you have to be your own shepherd. And your sheep is all of these things inside of you, all your baggage and all of your goals and dreams and aspirations, and all of your skeletons are all of your sheep that you must shepherd into the pasture.
Right.
And you have to.
I saw your video about, or I was started to watch it right before you came on here, about the J Rock and the K Frog and all that stuff that's been going on. I think I just wanted to say something about it real fast. Like, I think it's just really absolutely, like, I can't believe that this is even going on. Like, these people are going back and forth with each other. Like, I feel like it's like we're in high school again. You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't like each other, just don't go on each other's channels. Don't talk about each other. Just move forward. And I think that the girls in the prison community have gotten to where, like, if I don't like another girl, I just don't talk about her. I just don't mess with her. I don't go to her channel. I don't comment on her channel. I just don't say her name, nothing. But it's like, I feel like it's constantly with these guys, just back and forth, to the point it's like nobody is, there's no benefit from coming from that, except for, I mean, it's just drama constantly. You know, what kind of example are they setting for anyone who's watching their channel, you know?
Well, see, I got a theory about that. And I talked to K Frog, quite a lot. I consider him to be a friend of mine. I like K Frog. People are always trying to tell me to speak, ill will of him, and I've always said that I will never do that, because there's something about him that I like. I like his intelligence. I like the way he thinks. I like how he listens and he enlists advice from people that if he don't have the answer, he will seek the answer out. Here's the thing. What's going on with all of this, and it's like I told you about that ripple effect, the negative ripple effect. I explained it in the video. You got these troll channels. You got these different like ultra ego personalities that are coming out there and creating these channels and doing all these things and pumping up all this drama and negativity. And when it's a constant onslaught every single day, it's basically, you could say that these troll channels are like bullies. And they're bullying these other channels to the point to where and then it's all in the comments. Like, you know, I could put out a video on how I just saved a bunch of money by switching to Geico on my car insurance, you know, and I'll go to the comments and there won't be a single comment about that video. It'll be about, well, how do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or what do you think about this guy? Hey, this guy said that you were this, or this person said you were that, or this, or this, or this, or that, and the third. And it becomes like such an overwhelming thing to where one person would be like, am I going to just like delete my channel, just get out and go to maybe Patreon or something like that? Or am I gonna like try to get into this and try to explain it, or try to deal with it, or try to make, turn it into like an entertaining thing to where now people like depend on this drama. They look for it and they want it now. And then there's a large group of people that don't want it. So it's like a double-edged sword now. We're so far into it now to where there's probably no getting out of it, to where, this one guy, J-Rock, his channel's fallen. Like, he's lost thousands of subscribers by trying to deceive his own subscribers, trying to deceive everybody. And that's where I go back to what I told you with the optical illusion, with these fake role models, because J-Rock had a lot of people that were looking up to him, a lot of people that were subscribed, that was diehard fans of his, that tuned into him every day, are now like, I don't know who to trust anymore. Now I think that all these channels are fake. I'm just going to like go out of this altogether. And that's not fair to the rest of us that are actually in it for the right reasons. And it's what I've been saying from the beginning. When I talk about other people and people are like, oh, you're jealous, you're just jealous. And no, I'm not jealous. I'm trying to basically tell you that I see bullshit in this message, or this person is not necessarily on the up and up. And this is why, because I have like 30, 40, 50 people in my DM and on Instagram telling me about one person, and this is how this person's treating me, and this is what this person's doing. This person won't refund my money. This person told me that I was going to get this, this, and that. And then at the same time, you have this J-Rock guy on like recorded, and it's him, it's his voice saying, hey, bro, let's go ahead and manipulate everybody and make them think we're going to fight so we can get subs, so we could sell our merch. We could do all this, and then we'll just act like we shook hands, and we'll show all these youngsters that we're above all this shit. And it's deception.
Well, there's so many more people. Listen, J-Rock is not the only guy who's doing that. There's YouTubers with millions and millions of subscribers who literally make fake drama. So that way it drives more people to their channels. They can sell merch. That's all these people. I hate to say this, and this is not like this on my channel. We have a family here. People, I talk to these people on the phone. I give my phone number out to everybody on Real Talk Recovery. Like, y'all are my friends. But people look at their subscribers. You're a dollar sign.
Yeah.
You're a way for them to further their agenda and their pocketbook. You are nothing to them except for a number. That's it. And so people don't understand that. Like, I know that now. I came onto YouTube. I was so naive. I watched all these beauty gurus and these people that had channels, and I thought, wow, I want to be just like those girls. They're so pretty. They're so smart. They're so confident. And then I started realizing that they don't give a damn about you or me or anybody except for themselves. And it comes down to motive. What is your motive? And J-Rock got totally exposed for his motives. His motives are not pure. He's trying to get over on people. And that kind of stuff always comes out in the wash. What is done in the dark will come to the light. It always does. It may take time, but it will.
And a lot of people, that are in criminal justice reform outside of YouTube, right? And people that have published, they're best-selling authors, people and all this stuff. And inside of YouTube, basically, it's a bunch of criminals that figured out a way to profit off of crime without committing crime. And like I've learned all this over the last few years that I've been doing all this stuff. I started on Facebook. I established a nonprofit organization. I had to shut it down because I couldn't get no help. Like I would reach out to people, and I had this one guy tell me, I'm like, hey man, I really love what you're doing. I'd love to collab with you and do all this stuff. And he's just like, look, I ain't talking to you until you subscribe to my fucking website and pay and pay the $15 a month, and then I'll talk to you. Maybe I'll talk to you. Maybe I won't. Maybe somebody else will. You know, where I've had other channels, and I'm not going to run down the name of them, but people that think their shit just don't stink, right? That I'm like, look, man, let's do a collab. Let's get together. Let's do this. People are like, you know, just don't even respond to the messages that
I know.
You know, and there was two of them. There was two of them on IG that I reached out to, and then I finally sent them a message back saying, you know what, it is really rude to ignore somebody who is basically trying to reach out to you for a positive agenda. You know what I mean? Without basically saying F you and flipping them off, I just said, you know what? All the best luck to you. And that shit's going to bite them in the ass in the future, because one of these days, people are going to see these kind of people for who they really are. And guess what? I'm going to keep breaking them down. I'm going to keep being raw, uncut, uncensored, no holds barred, doing all that. And I'm going to keep being arrogant and sarcastic, because somebody needs to be the bad guy in all of this and expose the ugliness of it, so that it's not such a devastating blow when it actually comes to the surface, you know?
Yeah.
And if I have to be the martyr for all of us, well, then so be it. I'm not going to starve if people stop unsubscribing to me. I'm not going to be living in the streets. I don't live off YouTube revenue. You know, I live off of the money I work my ass off for 5 days a week, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. That's how I survive. I do this because I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in you know, being able to like share my opinions of things to maybe help people. Some people can call me negative, but how is it really negative? If I'm continuing to grow and I'm continuing to advance in my life, and I'm not on drugs and I'm not committing crimes, and I'm an example of how you could be, how is that a negative? How is that a negative message? A negative message would be me like sitting in an alley next to a dumpster with a blunt, rolling a blunt, you know, smutting up everybody else, and I don't have shit to show for anything.
Right.
That's the negative message.
It's not negative.
Yeah.
You're not like out here. Here's the thing. The reality is that not everyone on YouTube has good intentions. Not everyone on YouTube is like, it just is what it is. You know what I mean? And so being honest about it and not sugarcoating it, that's all. You're not being negative by not sugarcoating the truth. You know what I mean? What happens is, though, you have people that aren't ready to hear the truth. And so when you're giving them the truth, it happens to me all the time. They can't take it. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to believe it. So it has to be you. There's something wrong with you because you're putting the truth out there. And it's just, it happens all the time. I mean, it just happens all the time here because we talk about addiction. We talk about, you know, people not wanting to change. And so it's just, it is the truth. And so when you're putting it out like that, people aren't ready to accept it. People would rather you chew the food up for them, make sure it's good and soft, and then spit it in their mouth for them, and then close their mouth for them and chew it.
Yeah, sorry, everybody, but Big JD's not here to wipe your ass for you. You know what I mean? I'm basically here to provide you with the roll of toilet paper and point you to the bathroom and tell you that, you know what, figure it out. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? You could do this, man. All of you can succeed tremendously if you just believe in yourselves. That's all you have to do, is believe in yourselves and stop looking to the universe for your answer, for your holy grail. The holy grail, the whole story of Percival and the holy grail, you know, the metaphor to the whole thing was that Percival was the holy grail. He was the savior. He was the one that brought, you know, balance back to King Arthur and stuff. I don't mean to get into that folklore and stuff, but it's true. You know, it's true. And all of these, like, you know, Moses, all of these metaphorical stories over the years, Moses parting the Red Sea. was basically showing the people that a barrier as big as the Red Sea is nothing too large for you to accomplish by crossing it. There's a metaphor to all of these stories. And, it's the same thing with anything and everything that you hear through Proverbs of the Far East, in the Bhagavad Gita, to the Vedas, to the Quran, to the Bible, to Tony Robbins, to the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. You always find something inside that basically is just, it's your inner voice telling you that this makes sense to me.
Right.
And it's just as simple as that. It's really that simple.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have to get off here because my little boy's literally sitting right here on the ground beside me, pulling on me. But I really liked having you on tonight, and I feel like we have a lot. I feel like we have a lot in common, and I want to have you back on, like, again. When are you going to drop the video on your channel?
I'm looking like this week. I've got a couple of videos that I'm going to put. I got a couple of interviews that I did, a couple of, pretty good interviews. I've also got a couple other videos I'm going to be putting out that are on other stuff. And I'm hoping to maybe have that one recorded and ready to go next Saturday.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is whenever you're going to drop it, I'm going to share it over here on my channel. And of course, I'm going to run over there and watch it. But I want to plan to have you on after that. So is there anything else that you want to say before you leave, just to everybody on the Real Talk Recovery channel family here?
I'm actually looking at all the comments. Are these comments going to be available on YouTube?
Yeah, when I upload the video, you can click it, and it'll show all the comments in the stream as it plays through.
Okay.
A lot of people came in here, and once I did see one comment. Somebody asked me to ask you about your book.
Yeah. You could find my books on Amazon. You could go to any one of my videos on my channel, and you can go to the description, and the direct link to Amazon will link you to whichever book you want, whether it be an Imprisoned Mind or whether it be Dear Mom, Dear Son. You can actually find those books on those links that are on my videos. But if you're curious, if you don't want to go that route, you can go directly to Amazon. You could just put Jason J.D. Rutherford, Dear Mom, Dear Son. Or you could put Jason J.D. Rutherford, An Imprisoned Mind, A Guide to Escaping Our Self-Made Prison. And those books are on there, and you can find them that way on Amazon. Me and My Mother's book is I think it's only $6.99. I've lowered the price as low as you could possibly lower it on there so that everybody could read it.
Yeah.
Prison Mind is a little more expensive, but it's a much larger, more detailed book than Me and My Mom's Poetic Letters. So that one's a little more expensive.
Well, I'm going to link your channel in the comment section when I upload this in the description, and then I'll link your books too underneath that. But I really, really appreciate you coming on my little old channel. It means so much to me, for real.
No problem. And I look forward to coming back anytime. And maybe you can come on my channel as well.
Hell yeah. I'll stalk you. Don't worry.
Okay.
Right. All right, JD. I'll holler at you later. For real. Thank you so much for coming on my channel.
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.
How did I do, y'all? Thanks, everybody, for coming out and supporting me. JD has, like I said, he's amazing. He has such a testimony of overcoming adversity, and he really does speak so much truth. If you're struggling with addiction, if you're struggling with anything, it is the power to succeed and to heal and to change is inside you. Dig deep. You're not alone. If you ever need any support or you just need to talk, you can always text me on the Real Talk Recovery phone line. And I'm literally going to go lay down, get my back rubbed, and play with my little boy until he falls asleep because he's like really wanting me to come up there and hang out with him. But I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Go subscribe to JD's channel if you haven't already. And thanks to everybody that came over from his channel. I really do appreciate it a lot. All right. Bye, y'all.